Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha our Mashiach, his voice. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our mighty one, he is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you YAHUDAH'S, Maccabees. This episode is about his father, Mattathias, whose true name is Mattathias, and this is part 2. Why did they do all of these things to our ancestors? They burned the books. They set up altars to sacrifice pigs. They forbade them from keeping the Sabbath and the feast. They stopped them from looking up in the sky to observe the renewed moon. They had a purpose for this. As long as they keep you stupid, as long as they keep you chasing after a dollar, they have succeeded in hiding from you your true power. We are superheroes, but only if we keep the law. The law is your power. That's why they stripped it from you. They understand as long as they keep you away from Yahuwah and his ways, their time will remain. But once you turn back to Yahuwah and keep his laws, brothers and sisters, their time has ended. Let's begin. First Maccabees, chapter 2, verses 1 to 7. Verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias. We know his true name is Mattathias. But for this lesson, we're going to use the names that are written because the lesson can become confusing and exhaustive. The son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Mourning. He's from the priestly class. He's from Aaron. Verse 2. And he had 5 sons, which means he was very rich. Joanan called Cades, verse 3. Simon called Tassi, verse 4. Udas, who was called Maccabees, verse 5. Eleazar called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphas, verse 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem. How many of you know the definition of blasphemy? Blasphemy is taking the attributes of Yahuwah, your creator, your deliverer, your mighty one, your healer, your counselor, your provider, your savior, and transferring it to another. The book says the children of Yasharal will blaspheme the name of Yahuwah all day long in the lands of their captivity. How do we do that, Brother David? Oh God, thank God. God bless you. You have blasphemed the name of Yahuwah. Thank you, Jesus. We love you, Jesus. Jesus is our Savior. Jesus is our deliverer. You have blasphemed the name of Yahuwah. Christ has united us. You have blasphemed the name of Yahuwah all day long in the lands of your captivity. Change your speech. Verse 7. He said, who said? Mattathias. Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see the misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Verse 8. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Verse 9. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity, even the vessels that are attached to the worship of Yahuwah is in captivity. The vessels are in captivity. His people are in captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. Verse 10. Listen to the testimony, brothers and sisters. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? Every nation in the region had came in and taken from the children of Yasharol. Verse 11. All of her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she has become a bond slave. Did you notice in verse 9? It tells you that the children are slain in the streets. The young men were killed by the sword. But the woman, she is the booty. She has been taken away. Verse 12. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste. Now he's going to tell you who did it. And the Gentiles have profaned it. In this instance, the Gentiles that are being spoken of are the Europeans. You thought their hands were clean? They've been doing this for thousands of years, brothers and sisters. Verse 13. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? What is the use of being here? Verse 14. Then Mattathias and his sons ripped their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore. Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt against what? Against the law, brothers and sisters. Came into the city Mourning to make them sacrifice, to sacrifice pigs to Zeus. Verse 16. And when many of Yasharol came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Verse 17. Then answered the king's officers, and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler, and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Verse 18. Now therefore come thou first, and fulfills the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. What did he want him to do? He wanted him to sacrifice a pig on the altar unto Zeus. Mattathias was a priest of Yahuwah. If Mattathias sacrificed a pig to Zeus, all of the people in the land of Judah would follow. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends. If you do this, your household and you'll be numbered as one of the king's friends, and thou children shall be honored with what? Silver and gold and many rewards. Some of those treacherous Israelites, they would take it. Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice. He was not timid. He did not whisper. He did not speak softly to them. Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the way of Yahuwah of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments. Verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. Verse 21. Yahuwah forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. Verse 22. We will not hearken to the king's words, to go from our way, either on the right hand or the left. Verse 23. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the treacherous Yisraelites in the sight of all to sacrifice a pig on the altar which was at Mourning, according to the king's commandment. Verse 24. Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed, he was heated with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear, neither could he control to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Halal Yahuwah. Verse 25. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar that was built on top of the altar in the temple, he pulled it down. This is a man above all men who was there. All of the people of Yasharal. The traitorous Yisraelites were there. The king's commissioner and his guards, they were there. Mattathias ran and cut down this treacherous Yisraelite who was about to place a pig on the altar of Yahuwah to sacrifice to Zeus. He is a defender of the faith. Verse 26. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of Yahuwah, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri the son of Salam. Verse 27. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, Whosoever is zealous of the law, and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. Who is excluded? All of those who do not keep the law. Brothers and sisters, you're going to have to leave your family members. They will be destroyed. Some of us may have to leave our wives and our husbands. They're going to be destroyed. Why? They are not zealous for the law. They do not want to keep the covenant of Yahuwah. Therefore, leave them behind. Verse 28. So he and his sons fled into the mountains. Look what they did. And left all that ever they had in the city. Could you do this? Let's say you have a beautiful home, Mercedes Benzes, prosperous business. Would you leave it all to flee into the mountains and be in poverty? If you haven't risen to that level yet, get there quickly. He's coming soon. Verse 29. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there. Did he say some? He said many. Verse 30. Both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them, because of what Mattathias did by cutting down the wicked, evil Yisraelites, by cutting down the king's commissioner and his guards. They came with great affliction upon the children of Yasharal. Verse 31. Now, when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem, in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into secret places in the wilderness, those who dwell in the secret places of the Most High shall abide under the wings or the shadow of the Almighty. Verse 32. They pursued after them, a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day. In comes the wicked, evil Yisraelites. Look what they told the enemy. Look what they told the Gentiles. Look what they told the Europeans. They will not fight against you on the Sabbath. The Sabbath is a good day to go in and destroy them. Verse 33. And they said unto them, let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Who said this? The great number of the enemy that came against them told the Yisraelites, it says, listen, whatever you've done before, we'll just wipe it under the table. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. Note, brothers and sisters, what did the Indians say about these people? He said, pale face speaketh with a forked tongue. Don't you believe them? Verse 34. But they said, who said? Yasharal, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath. How much will you do for YAHUDAH'S Sabbath? They were facing death. What are you facing? Loss of income? Loss of a good time? Our Sabbaths fall out during the week, brothers and sisters. It is a tough thing to follow, especially the way this world is set up. Look what our ancestors did, though. They said, we're not going to do anything to profane the Sabbath. Verse 35. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. The Europeans came, arrows flying, swords drawn, spears flying. Verse 36. Howbeit they, the Yasharalites, did not answer them, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid. They didn't barricade the doors or the cave or wherever they were hiding. They did not even pick up a stone to throw at them because they did not want to profane the Sabbath. Verse 37. But said, listen to their speech, let us die in all our innocency. Heaven and earth will testify up for us that ye put us to death wrongfully. Verse 38. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them. Look who they slew. With their wives, they did not take any booty. And children, they said, we don't need those slaves. And their cattle, we don't want their wealth. The king told us to kill them all, big and small, even their cattle, to the number of 1,000 people. Note, even if they did not keep the Sabbath, if they would have fought against them, if they would have came out and surrendered, they still would have been slaughtered, brothers and sisters. They died keeping the covenant. Verse 39. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood what happened, they mourned for them right sore. Can you see it? Can you feel it, brothers and sisters? The mourning that went on. 1,000 people, men, women, children, cattle, everyone was slain by the sword. Verse 40, and one of them said to another, listen to this, brother. If we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us out of the earth. Who are the heathen? The Europeans, brothers and sisters. We cannot be heathen. Heathen are those who come from the heath, the woods, and the forest of Europe. It is a European term. It speaks of those who came out of the caves. Verse 41. At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against them. Neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. I'm with him. I'm ready to fight. Our brothers and sisters were commended greatly. But if we would have followed their example, all of us would have been wiped out. So let us fight for our lives on the Sabbath. Let us fight for the covenant on the Sabbath day. Listen to this. If you can pull your ox out of the ditch on the Sabbath, why can you not pick up a sword to protect yourself? Verse 42. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians who were mighty men of Yasharal. These Assyrians are maybe the Chassidim. Chassidim equals the saints, brothers and sisters. Even all such as were voluntary, devoted unto the law. Do you see this? What makes you mighty? Devotion to the law. Verse 43. Also all they that fled for persecution joined themselves unto them, and they stayed with them. Verse 44. So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger. Who are the sinful men? Sin is transgression of the law. The sinful men who were smote were the children of Yasharal. Do you understand that? They were the first ones to die by the swords, by the hand of Mattathias, his sons, and all of those who kept the law. This will happen again, brothers and sisters. Judgment begins with Yasharal and wicked men in their wrath. But the rest fled to the heathen for safety. Isn't that what we do today? Soon as something happens, who do we flee to? Do we flee to Yahuwah? Do we go under his wings? We flee to the heathen for safety. Verse 45. Then Mattathias and his friends went round about. Listen, look at our brothers, and pulled down the altars, tore them down. Verse 46. And what children soever they found within the coast of Yasharal uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. What is the importance of this? During a war, you're going to circumcise the children because you are dedicating these men unto Yahuwah. Verse 47. They pursued also after the proud men, those who had the riches, those who were making money, and the work prospered in their hand. They were able to wipe them out. Verse 48. So they recovered the law out of the hands of the Gentiles. Do you see that? What did they recover? Out of the hands of the Gentiles? The law, the books, the scrolls. Who has them now? These same wicked, evil, murderous people. And out of the hand of kings, neither suffered they the sinner to triumph. Anyone amongst us who transgress the law should die. Verse 49. Now when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, Now have pride and rebuke gotten strength, and the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. Verse 50. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, not for the things of this world, brothers and sisters, for the law. Let me see if you're ready for this part. And give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Are you ready to give your life for it? Verse 51. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name. Verse 52. Look at the list. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? Yes. Verse 53. Joseph in the time of his distress kept the commandment and was made ruler of Egypt? Yes. Verse 54. Phinehas our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood? Yes. Verse 55. Jesus, what? How did this name slither into our book? It comes from the serpent people. They placed their God here in the book of Maccabees. It does not even make sense to a person who is educated in the scriptures. The name that should be here, from what the Europeans put in the Bible, was Joshua, not Jesus. And in the Greek form, they called him Yesu. Where did Jesus come from? This is what you call replacement theology, brothers and sisters. They replace names. They replace the name of your Mashiach. They replace the name of your father. They replaced your name. The first thing that they had to do was remove your name and give you one of their names. It's the same thing they're practicing here. Listen what the Mashiach said. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. But there's going to be another that shall slither in. He's going to come in his own name. Him you're going to receive. Who did we receive? Jesus. Look at every single black movie that you have out today. You will always see that white guy with the blue eyes and the blonde hair. He's on the wall. So the person that we're speaking of here is Yahusha in the correct transliteration, because that is the transliteration in the Hebrew of the name Joshua. Yahusha, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Yasharal. Verse 56. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. What did Caleb say? Let's go in and take it. Verse 57. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Who is he merciful to? Saul. Verse 58. Elias, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. Verse 59. Ananias, Azarias, and Misael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Verse 60. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of the lions. Verse 61. And thus consider ye throughout all ages, he's speaking to us, that none that put their trust in him, who is to him Yahuwah, shall be overcome. You don't have to worry about a coronavirus. You don't have to worry about the plagues that's going to hit all of the wicked and evil sinners. The proof that you have put your trust in Yahuwah is that you are keeping his commandments. Verse 62. Fear not, than the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Verse 63. Today he'll be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found. Don't worry about these people who are rolling around with their Mercedes Benzes, living the lifestyle of the rich and famous, which you aspire to be like. Don't aspire to be like them. Aspire to be like the list that Mattathias is showing you here. All of those who kept the law of Yahuwah, because he is returned into his dust, and his thought is come to nothing. He shall be blotted out from the earth. Verse 64. Wherefore, you, my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law. They are defenders of the faith, in which you should be also. For by it shall ye obtain glory. It is your power. You are a superhero. If you keep these commandments, brothers and sisters, no weapon formed against you shall prosper if you're keeping the commandments. Verse 65. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. He was the brains of the operation. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you. I'm turning you into the hands of Simon for all of your counsel. I trained him from a youth in the law, in the ways of Yahuwah. Verse 66. As for YAHUDAH'S Maccabees, he have been mighty and strong, even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people. Mighty, mighty, powerful YAHUDAH'S Maccabees, the hero of Yasharal. Verse 67. Take also unto you all those that observe the law. Stop. What to do with the ones who do not? And avenge ye the wrong of your people. They cut down all of the wicked Yasharalites, the sinful men. Coming again soon in a theater near you, in the wilderness, brothers and sisters. Those who have transgressed the law of Yahuwah, those who have called upon the names of false gods, and hold to it even to this day, shall be cut down like the weeds. Verse 68, recompense, return fully the heathen. What they have done to you, return it upon their heads, and take heed to the commandments of the law. Everything is about the law. If you keep the law, brothers and sisters, you are powerful. Without it, you are a weakling. Verse 69. So he blessed them and was gathered to his fathers. Verse 70. And he died in the 146 years. 146 years old. 146 years old. Let's just say that this happened 6 years after he cut down the wicked Yisraelite that was going to offer on the altar in the temple. Let's say he was 140 years old when he cut down the king's commissioner and their servants. 140 years old, yet he was still able to defend the law. And his sons buried him in the sepulchres of his fathers at Mourning. And all Yasharol made great lamentation for him. And it should be so. Will the people, the children, our family members that keep the law, will they cry for you? Because you have been steadfast and unmovable in Yahuwah's ways. Notice, everything that the Europeans did was to keep us from the law. Notice, everything that Mattathias did was to return us back to the law. And they have received power. Now that power has been given unto the children of Yasharol, who have kept the law and went into the wilderness, revenge ensues after. Continue to part 3. Revenge. Shalom.